I'm Pastor Brad Phillips. I'm the lead pastor at Harvest Church in Baker City, Oregon. I've been in Baker for 11 years. I've been the lead pastor for 6 years now. The growth we've seen at our church as in a small community has been really exciting. It's kind of interesting because our church has grown steady, but there's been an incredible amount, especially the last 2 years, of people coming to Christ. We've had over 200 people come to Christ in Baker City. So for me personally, when Jesus comes into somebody's life and they're transformed, that's the most amazing miracle that we could ever see. When a life is changed, that's pretty incredible. And I never get tired of it. Never get tired of seeing people come to Christ. Growth from a leadership perspective is challenging at times. You know, we've had increased staff, increased cost. That's more donuts, more coffee. One of the great things about challenges in growth is they're just simply opportunities, and it's all about people. One of the things that we say to one another often is, you know, we're in the people business. It's not about anything other than that person that you're talking to. So we walk through the crowd slowly. We try to know their names. We try to know their story and find out what God has done.
That was one of the things that I was running into previously with other churches, is that I felt judged by people. And don't get me wrong, I was living a life of sin and I was wrong, but I didn't need to be judged by people. I needed to be loved and shown the right way, shown why what I was doing was wrong. And once I actually felt that, that's when it changed.
Our church has grown from about 117 to over 250. So our finances have grown too, but it was a step of faith on every level. It wasn't that we received and then we would give. It was that we would give and then we would receive. I really believe that we're most like Jesus when we give. And so one of the things that we've seen is that when people began to be Christ-like, they want to give. And in that, we've seen our church and the community kind of impacted through outreach. And we've painted houses, we've given coffee cards to every employee in the school district, every city worker, every county worker. We've cleaned trash out of the river. We do free oil changes for single moms. The impact is just reaching into our community and loving them where they are. The reason we've done those things, the reason we've reached into our community, is to show the love of Christ in a meaningful way. Oftentimes people don't want to hear what you have to say, but they do want to see your action. And so our heart has been to show our community that we love them.
The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of the relationship of the church and our community and all the growth that's happening here is just that I think we have a reputation in our community for life and for connectedness. And people say, oh, you're with that church, Harvest, right? And then when they say that, it's immediately like, oh, I hear so much is happening there. And so even people outside of our church are hearing something's happening. Well, that just means to me, you've heard God's happening there, you know? And I think that reputation of life is the connection that's happening between our church and our community. This is a place where people can come and be accepted and be loved, and you don't have to change to walk in these doors. Hopefully you are changed when you walk out them, and I think that tends to be the experience people have.
I think for us, reaching out into our community, God has blessed us. And we started first just to step out in faith. A couple summers ago, we hauled 24 tons of trash from people's yards. That's a lot of garbage. But in taking people's trash, we were able to pray with them in their yard and help them out. So for me, the blessing that God has given us, we've been able to in turn make it something that blesses other people through our hands, through our feet, through the words that we say, even if it's just a word of encouragement. Reaching out into our community and being a light, that's what we're about. Our church is without walls and without a roof. Our church is Baker City, and we want to take the gospel to the lost, the ones that need it. The dynamics of our church has changed, and I think the dynamic that we had to change from is that status quo is okay. The folks that have been in our church for a long time, it's not the same church, it's different, and they've embraced that. This is really the inheritance that God has given us. This is standing on the shoulders of the ones who have plowed the fields before. The wells that we're receiving water from are wells that we did not dig. The harvest that we are receiving is seeds that we did not plant. And I think that's really the story, is that we want to plant seeds so that others can harvest. Sometimes it's springtime and harvest, and that's a God cycle. But other times there's distance between the planting and the harvesting. And we're harvesting things that God has planted deep in the soil of this valley. We want to plant seeds that'll be harvested in the future too. We want others. In 20 years, we want somebody to harvest the seeds that we've planted.